Imagine a world where the Americas remained hidden behind an unbroken wall of ocean and myth. No Columbus. No conquistadors. No New World. Just a colossal landmass teeming with civilizations, untouched, thriving, and forever separate from Europe, Africa, and Asia. Sounds intriguing? Brace yourself, because this isn't the gentle "what if" you learned in school. This is a shockwave through history, and it might make you furious, or ecstatic. Picture 1492, instead of setting sail, Columbus dies in obscurity after the Spanish crown decides it's not worth the risk. Other explorers are swallowed by storms or political chaos. For centuries, the Atlantic remains a psychological barrier, an abyss no one dares to cross. Meanwhile, the Aztec, Inca, and countless North American nations grow into sprawling empires with cities glittering brighter than anything in Europe. They invent technologies unknown to us, obsidian mirrors that rival modern lasers, irrigation systems feeding millions, and social codes so complex they make European feudalism look like child's play. Europe stagnates. Without American gold, Spain never becomes a superpower. England stays a rainy backwater. France and Portugal keep fighting over the same tired scraps of territory. The Renaissance still happens, but it's slower, smaller, starved of exotic foods and silver. No potatoes or tomatoes to feed the masses. No chocolate or coffee to fuel intellectual revolutions. Peasants riot over bland bread while entire nations languish in famine. Across the ocean, though, the picture is dazzling. The Mayan calendar evolves into a full scientific discipline, predicting solar flares and mapping galaxies with chilling accuracy. The Iroquois build democratic federations spanning thousands of miles, balancing freedom and order better than anything Europe would ever invent. In the Andes, high-altitude railways carry goods across jagged peaks, powered by domesticated llamas bred for strength and speed. Here's the truth no one wants to admit: if America had not been discovered, the so-called Old World would have rotted in its own ignorance, while the New World would have become the real cradle of modernity. Forget Silicon Valley, there would have been a Solar Valley in Tenochtitlan, a hub of obsidian tech exporting inventions across the Pacific to Japan and China, bypassing Europe entirely. And war. Without European colonization, no muskets or plagues would have decimated native populations. Instead, indigenous armies would have mastered bioengineering, crafting living weapons, wolves bred to track enemy scents, hawks trained to intercept enemy messages midair. Their generals would be scholars, their soldiers athletes. Warfare would be swift, elegant, and terrifyingly precise. Fast forward to today in this alternate timeline. You wake up in a universe where the Americas are still sealed off from the rest of the globe, a vast, independent supercontinent. Europe never clawed its way to global dominance. Instead, the world is split between two colossal powers, the United Confederations of the Americas, UCA, and the Pacific Alliance, a fusion of China, Japan, and India. The UCA's cities rise like obsidian cathedrals, pulsing with crystal-based tech. Their sky trams, silent and fast, crisscross forests and deserts without scarring the landscape. While we bicker over electric cars, they're already flying in solar gliders that recharge midair. They don't burn oil, they grow energy in bioreactive plants, living batteries that power homes and weapons alike. Governance. Forget bureaucratic red tape. The UCA's political councils meet in public holographic forums, where citizens vote in real time with gestures. Their police forces aren't squads of armored enforcers but swift response teams blending diplomacy, strategy, and, when needed, terrifying precision. They wield sonic disruptors rather than bullets, incapacitating threats without destroying lives. Meanwhile, in Europe, clunky monarchies are still limping along, clinging to old hierarchies and paper decrees. And science? It's not a Western invention anymore. Physics was cracked wide open by Mayan mathematicians 300 years before Newton's apple ever fell. Inca geneticists spliced crops to resist frost centuries before Mendel thought about peas. Space exploration belongs to them, sleek obsidian shuttles streak across the stratosphere, mapping asteroids for rare minerals while Europe argues about building taller windmills. Now picture their entertainment industry, a blend of brutal sport and spiritual art. Picture stadiums carved into canyon walls, where athletes leap from cliffs in gravity-defying competitions. Think VR headsets. They laugh at our plastic toys, their dream masks link directly to neural pathways, letting citizens walk through history or soar above waterfalls as condors. Their pop stars are warrior philosophers, singing ballads about cosmic balance while dancing in robes woven from bioluminescent fibers. Fashion in this world is a riot of engineered textiles. Feathers and fiber-optic threads shimmer across jackets. Armor-like tunics shift color with the wearer's mood. Even casual clothes look like something ripped from a science fantasy epic, while Europeans are still fumbling with linen and wool. If you think we'd somehow catch up, think again. Without colonial plunder, Europe is still clawing at scraps. While the Americas host Nobel-level science fairs for teenagers, European kings argue about who owns a muddy riverbank. Let's talk armies, because in this timeline, the military looks nothing like the clunky war machines we know. The United Confederations of the Americas, UCA, have turned warfare into a terrifying art. Forget tanks and jets, they ride hybrid beasts bred from jaguars and eagles, capable of silent glides over entire valleys. Their soldiers train in zero-gravity domes, practicing combat on vertical walls. Weapons. Crystal lances that channel sonic energy, cutting through steel without leaving bloodshed behind. Meanwhile, Europe's armies remain awkward relics, armored knights patched together with outdated rifles, still dependent on coal-burning ships. The Pacific Alliance is more advanced, yes, but their tech is derivative, borrowed from UCA leaks, never fully original. Tensions boil as the Atlantic remains an uncrossed gulf. Every decade, rumors swirl that UCA scouts have sighted Asian submarines or European dirigibles daring to approach their sacred coasts. When such vessels are captured, they're paraded through obsidian capitals like alien relics, proof that the old world is still primitive. The ocean becomes the ultimate border wall, unbreachable, lethal, guarded by fleets of living torpedoes, bioengineered whales programmed to sink trespassers. Contact, when it happens, is explosive. Imagine a European envoy finally landing on the Yucatan shores, expecting to discover something, only to face an army dressed in fiber-optic armor and armed with plasma-tipped spears. Negotiations don't start with tea and polite bows, they start with awe and humiliation. Old world emissaries return home broken, warning that any attempt at conquest would be suicidal. In the UCA, national defense isn't just about weapons, it's woven into daily life. Every citizen carries microdrones linked to a collective security grid. Threat detected. The swarm responds faster than any police siren. Spies don't hack computers, they infiltrate dreams via biopsychedelic rituals, planting suggestions while targets sleep. Even war ceremonies are majestic, soldiers dance in sacred plazas before battle, summoning courage through rhythmic chants. Compare that to our world's grey parades of tanks and fatigues. Their conflicts feel more like high-tech theater, ours like paperwork soaked in gunpowder. Here's the kicker, had America stayed undiscovered, today's ultimate superpower wouldn't be the USA, it'd be an unbroken alliance of civilizations that never needed European intervention to dominate the planet. Look ahead, in this alternate timeline, the next 50 years will decide everything. The United Confederations of the Americas, UCA, are preparing to unveil technology that would look like sorcery to us, gravity wells carved into orbit, letting ships hop from Earth to the Moon in minutes. They're already decoding dark matter, not just studying it. Whole cities will float above the Andes, tethered to the ground by magnetic anchors. Meanwhile, Europe is scrambling to reinvent itself, desperate to bridge a gap that's become a chasm. Monarchies and parliaments are collapsing under pressure from young radicals demanding that their continent finally break the Atlantic taboo and reach UCA shores. The Pacific Alliance is racing to secure secret pacts with rogue American tribes willing to trade data for rare minerals. A global showdown is coming, and it won't look like any war you've seen, it'll be a collision of myth, biotech, and politics. Entertainment is about to cross an unimaginable threshold. UCA, Dream Theaters, are experimenting with performances staged entirely inside a shared lucid dream. Audiences plug into a network where the story unfolds around them in real time, and every choice alters the ending. Music is grown, not recorded, living symphonies cultivated in glass biomes, singing as they bloom. Fashion keeps evolving, self-repairing cloaks, feathers that respond to emotion, even shoes that adjust grip to the terrain as you walk. For ordinary citizens of this America that never met Europe, daily life is an endless interplay of nature and technology. They farm floating gardens that feed entire megacities, communicate through bio-illuminated tattoos, and treat personal privacy as a sacred right, no giant corporations mining data, no invasive ads shouting from every screen. And yes, they're watching us. From space. Studying the awkward descendants of Europe who still argue about taxes while their empires rot. So here's the radical conclusion: if the Americas had never been discovered, the rest of the world wouldn't just be behind, we'd be an afterthought in someone else's history book. The myth of Western supremacy would collapse overnight. We'd be begging for a seat at the table of a civilization that mastered balance, technology, and raw power without ever needing us. Would that be utopia or tyranny? Paradise or prison? One thing's certain, the idea that discovery is always progress is a lie we tell ourselves to feel important. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment: would you want to live in this world, or would you fight to keep the history we know? And tell me, what if scenario should we tackle next?